Welcome to the first ever Dreamers Club podcast, brought to you from the center of the known universe, Bartlesville, Oklahoma, on behalf of Dreamers Club and the Central Middle School Broadcasting class. We're so thrilled you guys are here to join us. For those who are listening, there are about 500 students that are here with us today from 7th and 8th grade.
500 or 600.
500 or 600. Yeah. It's hard to estimate from here, but that is your first lesson, ladies and gentlemen, of doing an audio-only broadcast. You can pretty much say whatever you want, and it is what it is. So shout out to Central Middle School. You guys can let people know you're here. Yes. Sounds like it might be closer to 1,000 kids, which is really good. It is mostly 7th and 8th graders here today, right? Mm-hmm. No 6th graders snuck in today. Yeah.
Because they're short and the 6th graders weren't allowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
No shorties.
So anyway, thanks for being willing to do this. We're going to talk about a couple of things, and then we definitely want to get your opinion on some stuff. So today, you guys are in a place now, like we've talked about before, where people are going to start asking you what you want to be and what you want to do when you get older and you get out into the workforce and all that kind of stuff. So I want to let you in on, if you are lucky enough, you will find something that you are particularly good at, something that you're very, very good at, right? And if you are very lucky, you'll find something that you're very good at that you are also aware you're good at it. So I have found something that I am particularly good at and that I'm aware of that. And I'll pass it along to you in case you want to be a part of this. But I am extremely good at being wrong. Oh. And yeah, see, I'm in a good crowd. Yeah, so I have found that I have been in my lifetime very wrong about facts, about politics. I've been wrong about religion. I've been wrong about music lyrics. More than one occasion, I have misunderstood lyrics, but it has not stopped me from singing them loudly anyway. It happened to me just this week, and I think of myself as a big music fan. Like, I'm aware of most of what's happening now, certainly of what used to happen with music. And I was at the gym this last week, and a song came on, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, this, that, and the other." And who is this? And then I swung and I missed in a big, big way. So I said, "Oh, this, that, and the other." And I think this is Pearl Jam. And the guy next to me was new at the gym, and he's like, "Pearl Jam? That's my favorite band. This isn't Pearl Jam." And then I thought, oh man, I really wanted to impress this guy. And so then I was bothered. Like, for the next 3 days, I was like, I know that wasn't Pearl Jam. Do I go back and clean that up? Do I go back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, there wasn't enough blood in my head because I was working out, so that's why I whiffed that"? And then I had to ask myself, why was it so important for me to make that guy think that I knew all the answers, that I knew all the music answers? Why was it so important for me to go back and act like, oh, I'm not really an idiot. I do know this, and all that stuff. And I had to think about why. Then I thought, actually, it's kind of cool this way, because if I let him know now up front that I'm a dork, then all the standards are super low. I don't have to protect anything anymore. He already knows I'm a dork. And so now anytime I get something right, it just seems like, oh, you're less of a dork than I thought you were. So, yeah. So we have this whole thing about being wrong and how hard it is to admit that we're wrong. And for me, and now that I'm like 25 years old, I have learned that, like, being wrong is like the beginning of so many good things. That's like the beginning of discovery. Like, you start finding out a lot of stuff once you know that you're wrong. Like, we all believed for thousands of years that the world was flat. Some of you guys still do, and that's okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, right? See?
Graders aren't here. They don't know yet.
But we believed that the world was flat for so long that we were willing to kill somebody if they said it was round, right? We put them in prison. And we said, "No, you're so stupid." And then it turned out that we were wrong. Yeah, it turned out the world really was round. And then not only that, but once we figured out that the world was round, it opened up the entire universe to us. All of a sudden, 1,000 other things made so much more sense because we could embrace that one thing. But for a lot of us, the whole idea of admitting that we're wrong about something is like monumental. It's such a huge thing. And in our culture, it's a big deal now. You can't admit, if you're in the public whether you're a pop star, rock star, politician, or even a teacher sometimes, the whole idea of admitting, oh, I was wrong about that, even though it's such a human thing, is like insurmountable. We just won't do it. So I want to talk just a second about being wrong, why it's valuable, and Evangeline, why do you think it's so hard to admit when we're wrong about things?
I think it's so hard to admit why we're wrong about things. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's so hard to admit that we're wrong because of selfishness. Selfishness overwhelms us, and we really have set a standard for ourselves and our social status, and we kind of try to live that up or even make it higher. And so when you mess up or screw up or do something wrong, it's kind of hard for yourself to get back on that track, even though it probably didn't even affect anything like that.
Right. Yeah, sometimes we put maybe too much value on our own opinion. So we think if we come up wrong, that so many people are going to notice, and they're going to go home and think about just how wrong you were today at school, and they'll be like talking about later, I don't know, Evangeline just said that, and then she was so wrong, and it was this whole crisis thing, right? So we might kind of overinflate our own importance in some of that a little bit. So, Hayden, what's a time when you were wrong about something and figured it out?
Well, it's usually like almost every day.
It's good that you can admit that.
Because in math, and I like math, and it's hard sometimes, and I get the answers wrong. But then I ask for help and get them right.
So it kind of it does lead you to learning something when you find out you're wrong. But if you live in denial, what's the option? If you told everybody that you did not get that answer wrong, then what would happen?
You'd be living a lie.
You'd be living a lie.
And you wouldn't get your math done.
You'd be living a mathematical lie.
I've been living a mathematical life for a long time.
Yeah. So the fact that you admit that you're wrong gives you the opportunity to figure out how to do that properly, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. What do you think we could do to help make it easier for other people to admit that they're wrong about something or make a mistake?
Hi, I'm Amelia, and
Hi, Amelia.
Hi, Amelia. Welcome to Being Wrong Anonymous.
I just forgot the question.
What could we do to make it easier for the people around us to feel more comfortable admitting when they're wrong?
Oh, so you could tell them when you're wrong and stuff, because if people want to, might not necessarily copy each other, but everybody wants to be like each other. So if you're admitting that you're wrong, then everybody else will want to admit that they're wrong too.
So you kind of do it by example.
Yeah, and if you admit that you're wrong, it makes people feel like it's okay when they're wrong, right? It's like, hey, we all make mistakes. It's okay, right? So I think that's a big thing, is to lead by example, for sure. Be like, well, I was wrong about that, and then we can have a laugh, right?
Yeah, so for the guy at the gym who's new that I was trying to impress, if I just said, oh my God, I can't believe I screwed that up, or I know that's, whatever, then he would feel more comfortable around me because there's no pretense. He's not dealing with somebody who's presumably perfect or all knowing about music, but then it would give him the opportunity to be wrong comfortably too in the future. Yeah. Probably not about Pearl Jam, but something else. But right.
What about Kyra?
Kyra,
She's like, what about me?
Kyra, have you ever been maybe into something so deep that it's hard then to admit that you're wrong about something, like it happens in politics or something like that? You're on a side of somebody or something, and so you're in the conversation so deep that then it becomes difficult. That's probably for me.
Hey, I'll get the phone.
Then it's difficult to say that you're wrong about something.
Yes, many times.
Yeah.
Mostly since I'm a huge How to Train Your Dragon fan, and I've been.
You're a huge what fan?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen the movies, the TV shows, all that jazz. I've been in this little circle of How to Train Your Dragon for the longest time.
Yeah.
And whenever I found out something was wrong about something that I thought was right, I was like shook.
It shook you to your dragon core.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like when we get into conversations and stuff like this, I remember when I was in high school and we'd go to football games and my pack of friends would be there and we'd all be hanging out, and then somehow debates would break out. And it would be very difficult for me to take in their information because I was too busy defending my side, that I wasn't really available to take in new information or new facts. And so about halfway through the conversation, I could easily admit to myself in my inner monologue that I was wrong, but I was in too deep in the conversation to all of a sudden admit to everybody else, oh yeah, I know I've been screaming about this for about 15 minutes, but I am wrong. Yeah, okay.
Do you guys ever feel like it's embarrassing to be wrong? I mean, is embarrassment a factor?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, why is it so hard for us to be embarrassed? Like, why do we not handle that well? Amelia. Are you embarrassed a lot? She's like, I don't know. What do you think about embarrassment?
So I think it's hard because, like, you know, all your friends, like, will at least laugh at you or something. But you, like, generally did not mean to, like, say that. And, like, you know, you're probably wrong. And it's just, it gets even more embarrassing when people laugh at you knowing that you know you're wrong. So, yeah.
Yeah. How about anybody else over here? Yeah, Evangeline? Are you ever embarrassed? Certainly not.
Oh yeah, I'm embarrassed a
When
lot.
your parents are around?
What I was gonna say is like, what I was gonna say is like, embarrassment comes in like many different shapes and sizes. So sometimes you can be embarrassed on a large scale, or sometimes you're not very embarrassed. But people deal with it in different ways. As in, like, some people. And honestly, it depends on the moment, but some people cover up for themselves and they're like, oh yeah, and they like make up like a whole story to completely stand by what they're saying because they do not want to admit that they're wrong.
Right.
Or other people do like a bunch of other things, but the right thing to do is admit that you're wrong and apologize, but like don't let it drag you down because everybody is wrong at least once a day. Definitely more.
It feels like that's such a shorter path on something. At some point, when you're wrong, you're going to have to admit it. So is that point going to be now in these 5 minutes that we're here together, or is that point going to be in 2 weeks when we've lost all this time together because you were too proud to say, I was wrong about this? Yeah. So it can be, I'm wrong in the short, and you can just move on, or it can be, I'm wrong in the long. I mean, there are whole families that are split up because somebody can't admit they're wrong. And so two sisters don't talk to each other, or two parents and kids don't talk to each other. And that whole thing happens when at any moment you could just say, I was wrong. And it's so much easier early than it is late. The later you go, the more that's invested in being wrong, the harder it is to get back.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like digging a ditch. Like you're in there and you know you're wrong,
Right.
but you keep trying to cover for it. You get deeper and deeper
Yes.
and deeper in.
Yeah.
For sure.
Have you ever known someone to take up a side or to be wrong just because it's the side or the point of view of their friends or their political party, or go ahead,
My siblings.
Your siblings.
So
All right,
thank you.
Veronica's moving the mic around.
Thank you, Veronica.
We have some amazing assistants for Central
Thank you.
Broadcasting.
Thank you, broadcasting team. Thank you.
All right.
My siblings will come home from school and we'll get into a debate about their math homework.
Okay.
And no, they're in like 3rd and 4th grade.
Yes.
So they'll be sitting here telling me how to multiply a fraction using the butterfly method.
Wow.
And then I'll be sitting here giving them a simpler way, and they're like, I know how to do this. And I'm like, I've known this for years. I did this last week to get to a different answer.
Yeah.
It's easier without the butterfly method. So
Yeah, but they don't want. They're like so believing that their
they're
way
so
is
willing
right.
into that. Just
That's
they won't give in to
Yeah.
another opinion.
Yeah.
I have so many friends right now that will repeat something, and they will take you to the wrestling match on it. Yeah. Only because their particular party says that's the line. And you're like, I know you don't really believe that. Yeah. I know that's not what you're thinking. Yeah.
I know I've done it like.
Okay, hold on, Abigail. Come on up here. Get to the mic and introduce yourself, little chihuahua. Sorry. It is. It's an old, never mind, we're old.
I'm Abigail. I know that I've definitely done it like the other way, or known people that will do it like the opposite way. So like you'll be thinking one thing, and just simply because you think it's that way, they'll do it the other way.
Oh, yeah.
Who else? Who else has an experience like that? Yes, please.
Veronica will bring the mic to you.
Okay, so like I have like 4 siblings, so we get into arguments a lot, and it's like it's usually like 3 against 1. So we'll all be like, there'll be 3 of us on one side and 1 of us on the other, and we don't, or 4, but like we don't listen to each other, and we just completely take sides immediately. Like not favoriting them, but just like, yeah, but we don't listen to the other people's side of the story. So if it's like there's 2 sides of the story, not just one.
Yeah.
Like there's more than just one person being wrong and everybody else being right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having the conversation. When I think in the last Dreamers Club we talked about the whole idea of being a safe place. So the idea that you need someone that you can have conversations with about anything, and that they'll listen to you, right? And so it can be the obscure, weird thing like, why is the sky blue and not orange? It should be orange, right? And so you need to have that thing where you can have that and have that conversation. And sometimes those conversations can become debates, but they need to be debates that are free, right? And not so thing where somebody's got to defend someone and obviously being wrong in that process. But yeah, who else? Yes.
All right. Oh, wait, Sabrina? Okay, Angela and then Sabrina.
Okay, sorry. I know it helps when you are wrong. Well, okay, here's what I say is when you're starting to get into an argument, if your audience is drawn to one side, I would look into the perspectives of every single different aspect in the conversation, because they're all important. And so after you've done that and assessed what side you're on, then you can go and say whatever you want to say. But after that, you have to be accountable for your actions, because honesty is important. I've been in situations with bad friends where I'll say something to them or they'll say something to me, and so I'll bring it up to somebody else because it was kind of funny, and they're like, oh no, I didn't say that, and it makes you look bad. So you have to make sure that you're accountable for your actions, because you don't want to be that kind of person.
It's true.
Yeah, good. Yeah, for sure. Sabrina, go.
I'm Sabrina, and I feel like it's hard to admit that you're wrong because you would be scared of other people's opinions and thoughts, and it's a really big thing for me to care about what other people think. So I feel like it's always easier to think, like, just be more confident in yourself, because being wrong doesn't make you a worse person.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of important sometimes to remember that, like, there doesn't always have to be somebody that's wrong.
Oh yeah.
So like, you could be wrong, but like if you're not wrong, it doesn't mean that the other person's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
it could just be opinion.
Yeah, that's right. That makes total sense. It's not always as simple as being right, one person being right and the other person being wrong, right? Or one way being right. I used to think I'm a black and white thinker, meaning like when I was growing up, it was like, oh no, this is right and this is wrong and this is how the world works. And that's a good characteristic, right? Because those people will stand up for their values. But the longer I live, the more I realize how much gray is in the world. You know, you may think something's right till you hear somebody else's story and their perspective, and then you go, oh, that also seems right. So it's just not as easy always as simple right and wrong. So, all right, who else? Anybody else have something to say?
Tara does.
I'm not sure if this like corresponds with what we're talking about. I'm not sure.
We'll let you know.
But like, but like a few years ago, I was building a shelf for my room because I just moved to a different house, and I was doing it all by myself. I thought I could do it, and my mom came in. She was really sick, so she was a bit delirious. But I'm saying that in my defense. But like, she was telling me how to do things because apparently I was doing it wrong. And I was like, no, I'm doing it right. I followed the instructions. I knew what I was doing. But turns out I was wrong, and I spent 2 extra hours building that shelf.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in the wrong. I didn't want to admit that.
Yeah.
That was my bad.
Yeah,
Well, and that's the thing of I think maybe the difficulty of taking advice or listening to someone else in that process, or giving people the freedom to have that information for us and help. Yeah.
Yeah, so like as she said, like it's hard to admit you're wrong, as it's kind of saying, but like especially when you know you're wrong, like you know you're wrong and you keep doing it wrong and just keep going and going and going and going, and you never admit you're wrong. But if you just admit it, then it's like it takes so much stress off. Like you just feel better.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's happened before where I'm like, okay, well I know this is wrong, but I'm not doing anything about it. And then I finally told someone, I was like, well, wow.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, and it actually brings a lot of freedom, doesn't it? Coming up.
I was going to I think if there's one gift that we could give somebody, it would be the whole idea of getting in the
We'll get that mic.
We'll get that
we
mic.
got this.
So if there's one gift we could give to each of you, it would be to grow in the habit of admitting you're wrong. Because the more you do that, the more comfortable you get, the less of a big deal it becomes, right? And it's a little bit like a skill. Once you get in the skill of saying, oh yeah, I was wrong about that. When we had Evangeline, I think Anjanette and I both made the decision early on that we would admit when we were wrong quickly, because we wanted to set that example. So we probably apologize for things, 5 or 10 times a day, instead of trying to be perfect in front of her or set some kind of bogus example like, oh, we don't get things wrong because we're adults. No, we want to admit that. And I want to get more comfortable admitting that I'm wrong, because then it will make it easier as I go along. Yeah. Your name, son?
Oh, so my name is Miles, local biggie.
Yeah. Self-described, yeah.
But anyways, I kind of learned through admitting that you're wrong. Say like you're right and the other person's wrong. One way to help them admit that they're wrong is kind of just taking it easy on them.
Yes.
Saying, oh, well, you're wrong. That happens to everyone, so
yeah,
just take it easy on them. I always have to do that with my siblings, because they say dinosaur chicken nuggets are made of dinosaurs. And it frustrates me, but I have to take it easy on them, or else they'll just think dinosaurs are real, like Jurassic Park. And then life will be miserable. Yeah. Well,
like
anyways.
that. We need to have
Thank you,
dinosaur
Miles.
nuggets.
Thank you,
Oh
Miles.
my gosh,
We need
yes.
to have dinosaur nuggets as DreamersCLUB snack.
I also yes, Amelia says yes. I also do know sometimes if you're like super self-conscious or you have like a lot of anxiety about yourself, you may be wrong a lot, but also sometimes you might not be, so you have to like think about what you said, because you can stand up for your actions. It doesn't mean that everything that you say is wrong.
Right.
But I had a friend, or like if anything bad happened, I'd say sorry, and I said that like a lot, and I still do, but she's like a really honest friend, so she was like, you say sorry too much, and I was like, oh, okay.
And you said, sorry.
I said, oh, sorry. And I was like, oh, dang it, sorry. And I was like, oh. I said, I'll work on it. And she was like, okay, fix it. But other than that, it was fine.
I think it's funny that in a way, certainly as a friend, that you can be right and still be wrong. You know what I mean? You can be right about the facts, but wrong in the way you're handling it. You can be right about the facts, but wrong in your approach as a friend. Mm-hmm. And so there are times when being right really isn't that important. And there are also times where being right doesn't mean you can't apologize. I mean, that's all part of it. So, we're in situations a lot where in friendships or relationships, I can say, someone will accuse you of something, and you didn't do that. That's not what happened, but you can still say, I'm sorry that happened, or I'm sorry for the role I played in that. Kyra, what you have to say?
Adding on to Evangeline's thing about saying sorry too much, me and my sister are both like silently, I can't think of words today, silently have this contract that if we either bump into each other, we both say sorry at the same time. or we accidentally do something that's not necessarily our fault, we still say sorry.
Yeah.
And then people end up telling us that we say sorry too much, and we don't say, oh, sorry, we just run. And if we say sorry to each other at the same time, we just end up like strangling each other.
Right.
Well, can you guys imagine, like, I was just thinking about, like, we just came through a presidential election, right? And the country's a little topsy-turvy. And if we took this room, we could probably divide it in half and everybody's on different sides, right? We're like, what happened? Have you guys ever noticed in politics that politicians never ever say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Even though all of them have been, in decisions in different ways, they pass the buck, they try to find somebody else to blame, they work all around it. Can you imagine what it would be like if you had a leader that just said, you know what, I didn't have all the facts and I was wrong. And then that would give everyone permission to do it. I would love to see it. We'll start it here, right? Yeah, Melody, come on.
My name is Melody, and sometimes I'll be scrolling and I'll see these little clips of argument politics and stuff, and I'll be watching, and the argument is really heated, which is like, I mean, of course it's fine, but the way they're handling it is horrible because one person will be yelling and screaming and they'll not let the other person or other group speak their mind. And whenever they do, they just say no without any sort of like evidence or anything that proves why they're wrong or proves why they're right. So it just really makes me mad when I'm seeing them. And it also, like, politicians do this a lot too, and they just won't, I guess, hear the other person out, and it just makes me really mad because I'm just like, why can't you listen to them just for a little bit? And if you yell, you kind of seem like you don't really know what you're doing as much, because if you have to yell, then obviously, like, your speech isn't as good, and now you just have to resort to not letting the other person hear their own mind. So those type of arguments just are really bad, and I feel like if you're having an argument, you need to at least do it right, you know?
I think that's good. Yeah, that's
a great point.
You guys, we talk about this a lot of times. You guys are the up and coming generation, right? I mean, our time has passed. No, I'm kidding. We're still in the world making a difference. But if these are some of the things that you guys can begin to do with your own friends, like making it more acceptable to be wrong, giving grace to people and acceptance, right?
Yeah.
That will change. I think some of you guys will be future politicians.
Well, to Melody's point.
And you'll be able to say, I was wrong.
To Melody's point, that kind of goes back to what we started with by saying we have created a climate where people don't feel comfortable admitting.
Right.
Because they know as soon as they say, oh, I was wrong about such and such, well, you're not fit to be president. You're not fit to be, whatever. And the reality is everybody's wrong, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's right. So
okay.
popularize your wrongness, right?
Yes.
One more comment from Miss Amelia.
Okay, so it's kind of like very targeted, but okay,
so brace yourself, everyone.
Wow.
Okay, well, adults are wrong too. Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
What? That's crazy talk. We'll edit that out. Don't worry about it.
Parents can be wrong in arguments.
Hey, we can hear you.
We know.
Yeah, guys, so
Sorry.
don't be, like, afraid to tell your parents they're wrong because they are wrong. So, yeah.
So that's a great point because parents really are wrong. So when we are in that position, whether it's with our friends or whether it's with our parents or even a teacher, it's not so much what we say, right? It's how we say it. There are ways that we say things that give the other person only one chance, only one way to respond, which is usually defensive. Yeah. But if you say something in a way that gives them the freedom to admit they're wrong or gives them the chance, then they're much more likely to do that. But if I say something and I push Evangeline into a box or I push her into a corner, well, she's not going to feel comfortable admitting that she's wrong. She's going to feel like she has to be on the defensive now. Yeah. She's going to come out swinging.
Amelia, if you were to say it's your mom, say, hey, Mom, you're wrong. And that's how you bring it. That's immediately going to put her on the defensive, right? But if you take a minute to calm down and you say, hey, Mom, I feel like maybe you didn't have the facts on that. I mean, let's talk about it.
Or I think there might be some confusion about that, or here's what I was trying to say, and on and on.
We say this to Evangeline a lot. It's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, right?
Which is always perfect because our daughter is perfect. But hey.
Totally getting.
So I want to thank you guys for participating in the first podcast. You guys did an amazing job, and we are better for it. And so I hope the audience is too, and you can share this when we put it up. And we'll try it again really soon. But thank you.
Embrace your wrongness. Go forth. Embrace your wrongness.
Get in the habit of saying you're sorry and admitting you're wrong, and it'll go so much easier for you the rest of your lives. Right?
Let's hear it for the first Dreamers Club podcast.
And thank you for the 1,000 plus kids that turned out for this. You guys were so great. What a great audience. Huge crowd.
All right. Well, thanks for